So the next entity is the call to action entity, and so I realize I do not have the call to action entity, but I can have it added very fast. I'm going to make use of the Cursor image entity. Then since it is an independent entity, I can just drag it here. So regarding the call to action entity, it's going to have an ID, then the type, then the heading, the description, the button text, the button link, and then an image. So I'm going to have this updated to call to action. So we shall have the type, then the heading. So instead of the title, this is going to be updated to the type, and the type is a string, meaning that you can have a call to action for maybe the home page or maybe some other for the loans page. Then you're also going to have a heading for the call to action, and the heading is going to be a string. So this is going to be a string, but this is SQL, so this is going to be a variable character, and you can have a maximum of 150 characters. Then it's not going to be now. Then we also do have a description and an image. So you can have this updated to the image, and the image is not going to be now. Then I can go ahead and duplicate this other attribute so that we make use of it for the description. So the description, then we do have the button text and the button link. So we can duplicate the description as well. So this is going to have a button text, and the button text is going to be a string, so variable character, and maybe it can have a maximum of 150, and 150 is even very long, but for now this is okay. So the button text might be now. Now if we are going to have a button, then that means that the button text must be required. Then we can have this duplicated for the link. So the button link is going to be a string as well, but there would be cases whereby we do not have the link added, so by default we can keep it nullable. So we can now go ahead and create a migration file for this entity and have this table for this entity migrated to the database. Then we can also go ahead and create the model. We are going to make use of our PHP artisan command. So we shall type PHP artisan make model, and the model name is going to be call to action. Then we shall pass on the flag or the option for the migration. Then we press enter. So once that command has been executed successfully, it's going to go ahead and create both a migration file and the model file for this entity. So I'll first of all access the migration file. Then within the migration file, we go ahead and make updates based on what our entity had. So I'll go ahead and make use of the structure of the cursor images table, then paste it here. So in our call to actions, we did have a type, and yes, the type is actually going to be unique. Then we need a description, and we also need a heading. Then regarding the heading, it's going to be a string as identified, and then we shall ensure that the heading is also unique. So we can also have these constraints updated within the entities here, and same applies to the heading. Then I'll also go ahead and have this duplicated. Then before we need the image, then I'll have this updated to the button text. Then I'll also ensure that we do have the button link, and since the button link can be optional, sometimes we can have this field being nullable by default. So once that is done, we shall keep in place the primary key and the timestamps. And having updated that, I can now go ahead and work on the model attributes. So we can still make use of the fillable content for the cursor images, and then check out the call to action model and show that we do have a fillable here as well. Then instead of the title, we are going to have, my bad, instead of the title, we are going to have the type. Then we do have the heading. Then we are going to have, instead of the image path, we are going to have the image. Then we need the button text. Then we also need the button link. And yeah, that is it. So having completed this, I'll go ahead and now migrate the call to action table. So we are going to have a table called call to actions within our database, and currently you can see that we do not have a call to action table within the database. So we believe that when we migrate successfully, that table is going to be created within our database. So I'm going to go ahead and migrate this very fast by typing a PHP artisan migrate. Then it will go ahead and migrate this newly created migration file for the call to actions. And as long as you see this kind of output, then yeah, the migration has been successful. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh. And now you can see the call to actions table has been migrated successfully within the database. And in terms of XAMPP, you always access the structure and have a look at what you've defined in terms of the fields or the attributes. So you can see that we do have a primary key, then the type, which is unique, then the heading, then the description, etc. as you can see, and I think this is okay. So having migrated and also created the model, we have now moved forward to adding the Blade functionalities for the call to action within our admin dashboard. So by default, any table that is migrated, we always do not have the Blade. So it's upon you to either add the Blade functionalities or not, depending on what exactly you want to achieve. So in terms of Voyager, you always have to access the Blade feature. And if a table has been migrated successfully, you go ahead and access that table. So we do have call to actions, and most of the times tables are always in pro format. So this is call to actions, then cursor images and etc. That is the most common approach. So since we are going to have this entity as well managed by the admin, we can ensure that we do have Blade. So you click on add Blade to this table. So most of the times you'll be making updates on the model name, and this you only have to ensure that the model name is following our namespace as defined within our Laravel project. So the namespace is always app/models, then / the name of the model if it has been added. Then we are going to have a few call to action, so we do not need to paginate. Then I'm keeping these other settings in place. And then the ID is always a number. So most times you're going to have this updated. Then the type is actually going to be a drop down. So I'll select the drop down. Then the heading is going to be a text, and then the description can take on the feature for the text area. Then regarding the button text is of course going to be a text feature, a text HTML element, and then the button link is also going to be a text. So what we can do for now, you can go ahead and access Voyager documentation so that we look at the drop down. So you access Blade, then form fields, then you access the drop down element or feature. So you can go ahead and copy this, and since we are going to make use of it, you just move back to our admin dashboard. Then in terms of type, we can have this pasted here for the options. So the default option can be a call to action for the home page. We can just have this as home page. So I think I can just say the home page. Then I can go ahead and copy this up here so that I make use of it for option 1. Then since it's going to be the text value, we can have this written in the normal English format. So home page, then maybe the loans page, then the value of the text is now going to have loans page with a space. So if this is what we have for now, I'll go ahead and save, and we can always make changes. So go ahead and click on submit. Now you can see that bread functionalities or the bread actions do exist for the call to action table. So when you click on browse, it's going to redirect you to the table for this feature. And in here, you can always add data. If I try to add data for testing purposes, so the type, if for example, we choose the home page, and one other thing is that if you try to submit, you can see that it ensures that data is validated, and you can always work with customized validations. So for now, we can have this tested as well. So this is going to be testing. Then same applies to the description. And now when you look at the image, you realize that our image must be an image, not just text. So I'll open the bread feature in a new tab. Then I'll go to edit. Then I'll ensure that the image is an image field, not text. So you select image, then you save or you submit. So once that has been updated automatically, I'll now have to refresh and re-enter the data. So you can see that everything is automatically added for us in terms of the UI. So I'll have this pasted here. So you can see that if it is an image, we shall have ability of choosing a file. And for now, I can just keep this precise by just pasting this here. Then the button text was required. Then maybe if I just say more and save. So you can see that this is also added. We can work on the images later in that they do display, and also to ensure that we handle cases whereby images that are too big are also validated, and to ensure that the right file extensions are for images are uploaded. So this will come in later. So for now, this is it, and I believe that we can also edit. So this is the beauty of Voyager. It will always handle for you the admin user interface automatically, as long as you've well defined the entities. So I think this is okay.